Hi guys, welcome to lesson 5 on the topic odd one out or sentence exclusion in the series Verbal Ability and Reading Comprehension for Cat. You can follow me on this link and please do rate and review the lesson series. Let's get started with the lesson number 5. Okay, so question 1. So I can see that they're talking about hedge fund managers, industry, something about finance, okay, some talent. Okay. There is no doubt that hedge fund managers have been good at making money for themselves. With keen eyes and sharp brains, they spot and exploit inefficiencies in the markets. Okay? They, hedge fund managers, clearly. Hedge fund managers are the smartest investors around. Okay? Or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. What does the industry tell its clients? Okay, so this sentence tells me that there is some sentence amongst these three that should be stated as a fact, and then in sentence 4 you say that okay, this is a fact, or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. Okay, there is no doubt that hedge fund managers have been good at making money for themselves, or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. Why would the industry tell its clients that hedge fund managers are good at making money for themselves? Okay, let's check sentence 2. With keen eyes and sharp brains, they spot and exploit inefficiencies in the markets, or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. Sounds good. Let's see if 3 4 could be a pair. Hedge fund managers are the smartest investors around, or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. Okay, this could also be it. So clearly 1 4 is not fitting, but 2 4 could fit, 3 4 could fit. And also if we take 2 3 in conjunction and then follow it up with 4, would that not fit? Let's just check. If you're talking about they spot, then it has to be preceded by either 1 or 3. Okay, so just look at the possibilities here. If you want to end with 4, let's assume that we end with 4, and also we need sentence number 2 in the sequence, then 1 out of 1 or 3 will have to precede it, because okay, they spot. So these are the two sentences that talk about hedge fund managers, so at least 1 out of these two should be there. Or the sequence could comprise of sentence 1 2 3. Lot of possibilities. Fully confused. Let's check again. I still have a hunch that sentence 4 will end the sequence, because you need to use 2 out of these 3, and you can do that if you end it with 4. So I would still go ahead and put sentence number 4 at the end and look for 2 sentences out of these 3. I'm just trying permutations, that's it. Hedge fund managers are the smartest investors around. You can start off with this one. Okay, sentence 1 should be the odd one out, isn't it? Because nobody is talking about the selfishness of hedge fund managers. You're talking about talent of the hedge fund managers, and that is what sentences 2 3 4 do, isn't it? Sentence 1 is the only one which is not talking about the talent of hedge fund managers, but about how good they are at making money for themselves. This is more in a negative sense than talking about the talents of hedge fund managers. If we start with 3, follow it up with 2, and then end with 4, that would be a really good sequence according to me. Hedge fund managers are the smartest investors around. With keen eyes and sharp brains, they spot and exploit inefficiencies in the markets. Or hedge fund managers are the smartest investors around. With keen eyes and sharp brains, they spot inefficiencies in the markets. Or at least that is what the industry tells its clients. So 3 2 4 should be the sequence, and 1 should be the odd one out. Yeah, correct. Let's move on. But as access to textbooks, children, textbooks, teachers, okay. But as access to other texts is enjoyed more widely, some of the dominance textbooks now enjoy will wane. Okay, so you're talking about how textbooks will become obsolete, something related to that. As indeed will the power of teachers, whose prejudices may often be just as ingrained as those found in textbooks and rather harder to pin down. Okay, so you're talking about how teachers are manipulative and how textbooks are also manipulated, but the prejudices that teachers have are harder to pin down. Okay, fine. It won't be long before children will be able to access, by way of smartphones, the textbooks prescribed for their courses. Okay, so this is also talking about how textbooks will become obsolete. Okay, as long as textbooks in one form or another are used, and as long as they are issued and approved by the state, they will remain a political issue. Okay, political issue. So this is in line with sentence 2. Yeah. Alright. So dominance textbooks now enjoy will wane. Okay, so I think sentences 2 and 4 definitely need to be there together, because you can exclude only one sentence, and sentence 2 and 4 together talk about how prejudices and political issues, state coming into picture, teachers bringing their views into textbooks, uh, teachers bringing their views into the classrooms along with textbooks. So these two sentences should be there. So this is the central theme of the paragraph, because at least half of the sentences are talking about it. This is the only sentence that doesn't talk about the prejudice or the manipulation or the dominance of textbook. It is only talking about how textbooks will become obsolete. Initially I thought that sentence 1 was also talking about it, about that same thing, but no, it is talking about another kind of dominance waning off. So that is not it. But as access to other texts is enjoyed more widely, some of the dominance textbooks now enjoy will wane. Okay, so earlier there was some sort of a political dominance or some prejudice being imposed on the children through textbooks, but now that dominance will wane. So the sequence could be rather harder to pin down. One will not start, but it'll talk about something contrasting because it starts off with a but. Okay. Can we start off with 4? As long as textbooks in one form or another are used, they will remain a political issue, but their dominance will wane. As indeed will the power. Okay, I didn't even notice this. Will wane, as indeed will the power of teachers. Okay, so the power of teachers will also wane. Clearly, 3 has to be the odd one out. Simply looking at the structure of the sentences, that okay, the dominance of textbooks will wane, or as indeed will the power of the teachers. I should have noticed this when I was reading sentence 2 itself. So 412 will be the sequence. You can see why that this is an opening sentence, that okay, as long as textbooks are approved by the state, they will remain a political issue, but now you're talking about a contrast, that okay, the dominance will reduce, and also what else will reduce? The power of teachers, whose prejudices may be harder to pin down. Sentence 3 is talking about something completely different, so 3 is the odd one out. Yeah, let's move on. This was a good question. Okay, a lot of text, 5 sentences. Through a series of such disciplines, mental, emotional, and moral, he exercised his small embryonic freedom. Who? Until it grew larger and larger, until he had more freedom than his captors. Okay, somebody was held captive, probably. He would describe himself in the classroom in his mind's eye and give his students the lessons he was learning during his very torture. Okay, so we're clearly talking about someone who was held captive and tortured. They had more liberty. Who had more liberty? More options to choose from in their environment. But he had more freedom. Okay, somebody had more liberty, but somebody else had more freedom, more internal power to exercise his options. Okay. Frankel. Okay, so Frankel is probably the guy who we are talking about. Frankel was a determinist raised in the tradition of Freudian psychology. Okay. In the midst of his experiences, Viktor Frankl projected himself onto into different circumstances, such as lecturing to his students after his release from the death camps. Okay, so this is the guy who was held captive in the death camps of Nazi Germany. Viktor Frankl is the guy we're talking about. And clearly we would start off with sentence 5 because this is the only sentence which introduces Viktor Frankl. So as we checked in the series on Parajumper, clearly you'll start off with sentence 5 instead of sentence 4. You will mention the full name first rather than just the surname. So assuming that we start off with sentence 5, which will be the following sentence. Okay, let's read out 5 once more. In the midst of his experiences, he would project himself into different circumstances, such as lecturing. Okay, so we're talking about how Frankl was projecting himself into different circumstances, such as lecturing to his students. So what does he do? Okay, so sentence 2 talks about how he describes himself in the classroom and give his students the lessons he was learning during his very torture. They had more liberty. Who had more liberty? Okay, captors. Where will sentence 4 be then? Is this the excluded one? Because if you're talking, okay, because 1 comma 3 is a very good sequence that he exercised his freedom larger and larger until he had more freedom than his captors. Beautiful contrast is coming in sentence 3 that they had more liberty, more options to choose from. But Frankl had more freedom and more internal power to exercise his options. That his captors had more liberty, but Frankl had more of this. So Frankl was a determinist raised in the tradition of Freudian psychology. Clearly, this is the excluded sentence. You don't want to talk about how he was raised, but you're talking about what Frankl does, how Frankl uses his experiences in his classroom after his release. So you're straight away starting off from his release and what follows in his life after that release from the death camps. You don't want to talk about how he was raised in a tradition of Freudian psychology. So this is clearly the excluded sentence. Yeah, correct answer. So this is it. Let's hope this video was helpful. Thank you.